The man lying in the mud was supposed to be his enemy. The rifle was still warm, but the blood was human. Just like his own. In the chaotic symphony of war, amidst the thunder of artillery and the screams of the dying, this single, quiet moment changed everything. This isn't a story about victory, not in the way history books write it. This isn't about flags raised or territories conquered. This is a story about a choice, a single profound choice made in the heart of no man's land. A choice that defied orders, that defied hatred, that defied war itself. It's a story about the quiet, unyielding pulse of humanity that beats even in the darkest of times. They had been fighting for days, or was it weeks? Time had blurred into a smear of gray skies, cold trenches, and endless, soul-soaking rain. The world had shrunk to this muddy, cratered landscape where life was cheap and death was constant. The orders were simple, hammered into their heads until it was instinct. Shoot first. Don't think. Don't hesitate. The man in the other uniform is your enemy. He is the reason you are here, cold, wet, and terrified. End him, or he will end you. He was tired. Not just a physical exhaustion that made his bones ache and his eyelids feel like lead. It was a deeper fatigue, a weariness of the soul. He was so tired he could barely feel the fear anymore. It was just a dull, constant hum in the background of his mind, like the distant rumble of guns. Every sunrise was a surprise, every sunset a temporary reprieve. He moved, ate, and fought like an automaton, his humanity buried deep beneath layers of mud, duty, and survival. The whistle blew. Another pointless charge across the churned-up earth. Smoke and chaos erupted. The world became a whirlwind of noise, flashes of light, and the acrid smell of gunpowder. Men fell around him, some with a shout, others with a silent slump. He ran, he stumbled, he fired his rifle at shadows in the mist. And then, through a momentary clearing in the smoke, he saw him. A soldier, slumped against a shattered tree stump. The uniform was different, the color of the enemy. But the face was young. Barely a man. His own age, maybe younger. The soldier was pale, his breathing shallow and ragged. A dark stain was spreading across his tunic. His finger rested on the trigger. The training screamed at him. The orders echoed in his head. Enemy. Threat. Eliminate. His whole body tensed, ready to complete the grim task he was sent here to do. He looked into the wounded soldier's eyes. They weren't filled with hate or aggression, just pain and a terrifying, quiet fear. His own reflection stared back at him. A boy sent to kill other boys. The cold steel of the rifle felt alien in his hands. He lowered it. The deafening roar of the battle seemed to fade into a distant buzz. In that bubble of silence, the wounded soldier whispered something. It was faint, almost lost in the wind. Not a command. Not a threat, a name. A woman's name, maybe his mother's or his sweetheart's. Just a name, spoken like a prayer. And that was enough. The uniform, the flag, the orders, they all melted away. All he saw was another human being, clinging to life, calling for someone they loved. In that moment he made his choice. Ignoring the shouts of his own comrades, ignoring the danger, he slung his rifle over his shoulder, hoisted the enemy soldier onto his back, and began the slow, agonizing journey back. Step by heavy step, he carried not an enemy, but a man. His return was not met with cheers. He was punished for disobeying orders, for aiding the enemy. There was no medal for this act of compassion, no praise for his courage, only the cold, judging silence of his superiors and the confused glances of his fellow soldiers. He became an outcast, the man who couldn't be trusted to do his duty. The war ended. He went home, carrying the weight of his choice not as a burden, but as a secret testament to his own soul. He never spoke of it. The silence followed him for years, a constant companion. Then, one day, a letter arrived. It was from a foreign country, the postmark unfamiliar. Inside, the handwriting was neat, the English slightly broken. It was from a man who lived, a man who now had a wife and children, a man who remembered being carried from a field of death by a soldier who should have killed him. He lived because one man chose to see a human instead of an enemy. In the grand narrative of war, we celebrate the battles, we count the victories, and we build monuments to the generals. But history rarely records the small, personal moments of defiance, the acts of grace that happen between the gunshots. We remember the grand strategies, the turning points, the treaties signed. But we, the people, we must remember the choices. Because in the end, it's not the orders we follow, but the choices we make that define our humanity. Sometimes the bravest act isn't pulling the trigger, but lowering the gun. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing for more stories that explore the human heart.